You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from our annual post-season intro to another season of Rick and Morty. That's right, where we cover your top, your bottom, and everything in between. We're talking about Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast post-season review.
Ooh, yeah, brother. Welcome to your top, your bottom, and everything in between. I'm Travis.
Oh, and I'm Brandon. Am I? Well, maybe we shouldn't talk about if we're tops, bottoms, or in betweens.
That's for the post-show live stream at twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm. All right. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're back. Did you miss us? Have you missed us?
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks. Feels like
I missed
forever.
I missed you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we did do an episode last week of Apathetic Enthusiasm, which you can catch on podcatchers all over the world. So yeah, if you did miss us, we talk about other things outside of Rick and Morty over at Apathetic Enthusiasm, but we're back on the on again, off again every other week. Mid break. What is this? This is outside of the existence of an actual season.
It's a season break. Yeah, like an actual season break. Because by all accounts, we're all expecting season 6 to be here on a fairly regular schedule.
Any
right?
minute. It could be right now.
Now.
Turn on your TV right now. It could be on.
Oh no, it's April Fool's episode.
Oh no, turn it off.
In September.
Anyway, we are gonna as Brandon alluded to in the intro, talk all about season 5 as a whole. But before we get to that, a little bit of housekeeping. You can keep up with us during this post-season, mid-season break shenanigans over on Twitter at Rick and Morty Pod, on Facebook, facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast, over on Instagram at Rick and Morty Podcast, and you can send us an email with your thoughts, your burning theories about the central finite curve over at Rick and Morty Podcast at gmail.com. We're still over on those subreddits, rickandmorty.reddit.com, and our subreddit, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com. And you can find us on our website, rickandmortypod.com. We are streaming live, as I mentioned, over at twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm. Thanks to anybody that's joining us live. Say hi in the chat. You can also catch us video episodes over on our YouTube, youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things over there. Finally, support the show over at TeePublic. You can get there, apatheticenthusiasm.com/shop is the easiest way to find t-shirts. And then patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm, where we are overdue.
We are
for a few more commentaries. But
let's do that this weekend.
Yeah, why not?
Do a couple. Let's do a couple.
Let's do 2 or 5.
Yeah. And
27.
And if you respond to this with proof of your
proof of life,
RMP pod 15. What is it? RAM pod 15. What is it?
RMP 15 for 15% off your loot crate.
That's right. Yeah. You can hang out with us. I don't want to promise that because we're bad enough with scheduling as it is. It'll be fun. Travis, you always ask me, "How are you doing?" I want to ask you, "How are you doing?"
I'm great.
The standard let's small talk before we get into the actual thing.
I'm doing okay. I'm not feeling too good myself. That's not how the lyric goes, by the way. I'm doing fine. One of my offspring had a birthday.
Ooh, Dexter Holland.
Yeah, Dexter Holland had a birthday and hit the big double digits, 10 years old. Congrats, Dexter Holland. And so just had fun celebrating this weekend. I've also been looking for ways to fill the downtime. No Rick and Morty means space for other things, like video game simulated space factory building. So a little Satisfactory, which we've started to explore together. If you got any sweet Satisfactory tips, hit us up at rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. all your satisfactory factory efficiency suggestions.
Screenshot.
Yeah, show us your factories. Send us your factories at Rick and Morty Pod on Twitter.
Tell me the best way to harvest screws.
Yeah. I'm doing all right. How have you been? How have you been without Rick and Morty new episodes?
I've been doing okay. I've been doing all right. You know, same with you. Finding some free time in my life. We're about to start some D&D again. In a couple weeks or something like that. It'll be fun. I bought this D&D beginners set. It's like a beginner board game to get the kids 10 and up started into D&D. So it's pretty cool. We'll talk about that on Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Ooh, can't wait.
But it's fun. Football. Tua got injured second game, bruised rib, and then we got blown out by the Bills, 35-0. So it's good.
Yeah, I had Bills defense on both of my fantasy teams, so
you won.
Thanks.
Only just with the Bills, you
Bills
won.
And then Tom Brady as a quarterback pretty much crushed my entire weekend. So anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Rick and Morty stuff. And the first way we like to do that is in our first segment, Semi-Pertinent News.
It's semi-pertinent news. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. It's semi-pertinent news.
For our audio listeners, Brandon had a screwdriver in his hand and turned the screwdriver every time you hear this sound. This is semi-pertinent news.
That's not a screwdriver sound.
That's not even
a Like, what is this? What is a screwdriver sound to you, anyway?
That was it. That was the screwdriver sound. Oh no!
Oh no!
I thought we lost him. Also, Brandon, just for the audio listeners, and to save Brandon some intense editing responsibilities later, Brandon has had intermittent internet quality this evening, so there may be slight delays, but we'll power through it. All right, first up in semi-pertinent news, we have a little bit correction, some apologies to make, and I'm going to take this one. I'm going to own it. As longtime listeners of the podcast would know, I am terrible just in general, period. That's the end. But especially terrible at pronouncing the names of the creative, wonderful people that work on Rick and Morty. And in our last episode, I really, really destroyed this creator's name. I pronounced Siobhan, or however I said it, but it's Shih-Vaughn. It's Siobhan Thompson, and I'm terribly sorry, Siobhan. Your Twitter bio talks about how it's not that hard to pronounce. If I had done even an ounce of research in advance, I would have known that, and I do apologize.
Yeah.
So don't cancel us, folks. Brandon will be doing all future name readings in this podcast.
We do apologize for that. It's not the first time we have messed up names. It won't be the last time we mess up names, but we do owe it to the folks that we're talking about to get their names right when we are talking about them, right? I think somebody a long time ago when we were talking about Blade Runner 2026 or whatever it was, whatever year that Blade Runner was. We were saying like Dennis Villeneuve, right? Something like that. And somebody hit us up on Twitter and was like, you can find out how to pronounce it by just doing a Google search, you lazy fucks, right? So Denis Villeneuve, we apologize.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll start looking up names before. You know, we're just gonna stop mentioning names on all of our podcasts. That's really the easier because we are lazy. We are lazy.
First and last initials. That's how we're doing it.
Yeah. Yep. This episode written by JL.
JL's gone.
Famous for the Vat of Acid episode. JL, yeah. Speaking of Adult Swim staples that have now moved on to other things. A bit of news this week in Adult Swim. a long-standing series on the network, saying goodbye, waving fond farewells. The lead-in to your favorite episodes of Rick and Morty and mine, Family Guy, leaving Adult Swim. It has left. It has gone. Brandon, how does this affect you emotionally?
It affects me in an emotional way. It's difficult to describe the emotion and the difficulty of it. They say that Adult Swim saved Family Guy through syndication, right? And so now Family Guy is going away. It's going. What channel is it? It's getting taken on by like
7.
Fox. Oh, Disney, because Fox owns it, right?
Is it really Disney? What is Disney going to do with it? I can't imagine they're putting Family Guy on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, right at the front,
I would
screen.
say probably Hulu. I would if I had to guess, it would be Hulu, because that tends to be where they put all the stuff that wouldn't end up on Disney Plus.
Yeah, they'll put it right under like Mickey Mouse fan club.
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse Club. No, but I mean it's we would watch Family Guy leading up into new episodes of Rick and Morty, and I didn't hate it. I remember when Family Guy was on.
The most glowing compliment for a show. I didn't hate it.
Well, when Family Guy first came out, it was on for like a season, and then or however many seasons, and then it got canceled, and then. This was like early 2000s, and it came back. It came back because of like DVD sales, and everybody started buying the DVDs, and then it came back. And I remember buying Family Guy on DVD because it's like one of those shows like The Critic where it wasn't on for that long, but people loved it. Well, Family Guy then came back with a vengeance. I think Seth MacFarlane had a little chip on his shoulder from Fox canceling him.
Yeah.
But then he turned it around, right? So those early seasons of Family Guy were good, and I have fond memories of those early seasons. But then it has a formula to it, and then it kind of got a little bit stale. And like
I feel like it dug too deep into that formula at times. There are times when I still quote classic Family Guy episodes, and even in our conversations, we'll be talking about. The lady with an apple or whatever.
I did that the other day.
That's that was just like a week ago. So yeah, I mean, Family Guy is
choose it twice.
It's a classic in terms of adult animated comedies. But yeah, no longer available on Adult Swim.
It's gone.
So long to the Griffin family and Meg, and we wish you all well. And we'll see what show we get to watch. 80 to 90% of next time we get a new episode of
Teenage Euthanasia.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on. Goodbye, Family Guy. We're leaving you behind too. On to the Reddit post of the week. This Reddit post of the week is called "Evolution of the Citadel Logo." Submitted by YZY Dragon 2222, 13,000 upvotes, and it is an image of all of the Citadel logos over the years, along with the season name. Pretty cool. It starts with the R, then it has the RM, and then it just has the M. Inevitably. This is an audio podcast, but our Twitch/YouTube viewers will get a glimpse of this over in
just a glimpse
over in the chat, or go to our show notes, and then there's a link there for it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting in season 3 when they added the M into because the Citadel of Rick's logo has kind of been around for a while. Adding that M when they added the Morty President was pretty cool. The fact that they completely removed the R in the season 5 finale, I thought was really telling of how much power the Morty President had. And so I don't know, interesting evolution of a symbology.
That's right. Yeah, very, very good. Symbologists are a thing. Going back to D&D. I had a I'm just saying, there's the thing. John, make fun of me. I hope he has a symbol just in his campaign. But that's it for the Reddit post of the week. As far as semi-pertinent news goes, there's not a ton of semi-pertinent news out there. I'm sure as the season goes on, the mid-season, the season break goes on, we'll get news here, there, and everywhere. But for now, not a whole lot of it. Everything is winding down. But you know what's not winding down? A certain media presence, a certain social media presence.
Oh.
And I'm talking about the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
The Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. That's all I know to sing about a minute.
That's a good.
All right.
That's a good bass. That was a good little bass.
Yeah, I'm auditioning for this podcast called Rounding the Bases. They just, I was able to get on one episode, but I don't know. It's tough. They got good guys over there.
I know the producer. You might get a second. You might get a call back.
All right. I'm offer only though on podcasts. So anyway, Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. We wanna say a huge congratulations to the man himself, Dan Harmon, who, if you remember in previous Social Media Minutes, we talked a little bit about his food. Seemed to be eating a little bit more healthy. Really, if you kind of go back in the archives of this podcast, you can find evidence of a change in lifestyle for Dan Harmon. And this week, we want to feature what has 2 thumbs and weighs 204 pounds. That's right. Dan Harmon has lost 37 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is a picture of Dan Harmon lifting his shirt up to show his belly with an almost emotionless face and 2 thumbs up. Yeah. Kudos to Dan for losing that weight after a diabetic warning shot. Yeah, and then he goes on to talk about now he can cut in lines and be a little bit more demanding of customer service. So, yeah, great job, Dan Harmon. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, go Dan.
Yeah, I wonder if Dan's gonna start doing like his workout streams. Those are always fun. Those were always a good time. But yeah, kudos, Dan.
Yeah.
You're close to being skinnier than I am. So
yeah, close to it. Almost skinnier than I am.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a fitness competition with Dan Harmon.
A skinny
off. Yeah, a skinny off that only 2 of the 3 of us know about.
Yeah. We'll just monitor his social media and just challenge him without him knowing, but keep track of his weight over the course of
we should just stare outside of his window and just look at him and see and estimate how much he weighs. No, Dan Harmon, you keep up the good work.
Keep it up, man.
Keep it up. All right, that's it. That's it for semi-pertinent news. It's now time for the moment you've all been waiting for. The reason you're listening, the reason you're here. It is time for the main thing.
Main thing. Main thing.
It sounded a little bit like a crate of orchestra instruments falling down a flight of stairs. Which is my favorite type of music. So,
that's right.
Really, really well done.
Yes, jazz. It's like experimental jazz.
Yeah, it's improvisational. It's fresh. It just works, right? So, welcome to the main thing. Our first main thing in quite a while, where we are not doing a particular episode recap, but no, we are covering all 10 episodes of season 5. Not individually. We're not getting into specific details. If you want to catch any of our thoughts on a particular episode, head back into the archives and catch the episodes because we talked about all of them. But yeah, we're going to talk about some of the overall themes or our overall thoughts about this last season that was season 5. Have you had some time to reflect, Brandon, and think back, we took a couple weeks off, and have you like forgotten the episodes entirely, like I have?
I have forgot about the episodes entirely, which is why we're just going to talk about Pickle Rick for the next 30 to 40 minutes. Pickle Rick, season 3. Oh my God.
Man.
What is it about season 3
This
that
guy.
we cannot get away from? Everything in season 3, everything has a reason, everything has meaning, everything is important, and it shapes and paves the way for the rest of the series, which I don't remember, including episodes in season 3. So let's talk about season 3. What is it about? What is it about,
What
Travis?
is it about eating poop? Am I right?
What is it about coprophagia? Which I would never have remembered that word.
Not for this show.
If not for recording.
Oh goodness.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. So season 5, right? It has settled in a little bit more. The waves have set, like the like the tides, the moon is gone, and so now it's like a low tide where we can just stroll along the beach and pick up grunion from the annual grunion season, right?
Yeah. I don't know what a grunion is.
I don't know. It's a thing. It's a real thing that, like, when I was a kid, this is getting too far into it, but when I was a kid, we like went to the beach, I think like Long Beach, to go get grunion. And that night there were no grunion on the beach because they come on to mate. I don't know if I don't think you eat them or anything like that. I think you just like catch them like sand crabs or something.
Grunion are 2 fish species of the genus. Well, here's me mispronouncing things again. Leurythetis or something.
We apologize.
The
Leurythetis.
California grunion and the Gulf grunion. They are sardine-sized telos fish of the New World silverside family, long Latin word, found only off the coast of California, United States of America. So there you go. If you've never heard of a grunion, it's because you're not from California, and so you're not as good as us, because we're from California. Even though I haven't lived there in a really long time. Yeah, grunions. Get your grunions out on the beach.
Get your grunions.
All right. Let's talk about season 5.
Okay. Yeah. So season 5. We want to talk about the season as a whole, holistically.
Yeah.
Some themes that we saw. Some general discussion. Maybe some theories from folks listening. So let's jump right into it, Travis. What is one of the first themes that we kind of gleaned from the season?
As I looked at the episodes, as I was reviewing the collection, one of the things that really jumped out to me was this idea of relationships both within the family as well as some romantic relationships, but not just relationships themselves, but also the heartbreak that can come along with those relationships. And as we look back, there's really several examples of sort of relationships ending, or the not so glamorous side of relationships. If you look at the Planetina episode, sort of this idea of romantic love with Morty that he ultimately has to end, and how upsetting that can be for him, even though he's the one that had to break off the relationship. Moving forward, you have the Returnal friendship episode where we look back at Rick and Bird Person's past. We get a glimpse at a lot of their history, and we always hear about Blood Ridge, but we find out that there's actually a really significant emotional event for Rick on Blood Ridge as well. So I think whether or not intentional, that idea of heartbreak and maybe, I don't know, the sadness that comes with relationships was really present throughout the season.
I think you're right. I think that as we rewatch these things and think about them, we can pick up our own readings of the episodes. Perhaps it's not what the writers ever intended, to have this kind of cohesiveness throughout the season. Whenever we ask somebody who's a writer, inevitably I'll always ask, like, is that something you guys like intended to, whether you knew it or not? And most times they're like, no, that's not what we want. But like you talk about relationships. Well, I think one of the things that we saw throughout the season, if you wanted to put a bow on it and tie them all together like a bundle of sticks, saving them up for the winter, right? And then so you can like put them in your oven or your fireplace to keep warm through the dark, cruel winter. Then you could talk about not only the romantic relationships of Morty and Planetina. There's that. In that same episode, there's the relationship between him and his mother, Morty and Beth. The Morty Plissy episode, it's the relationship between the family as a whole, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah,
I could buy that.
With a little bit of Beth and Rick coming to kind of terms, although it wasn't primary Rick and Beth. There was still an aspect of it where they're growing. Relationships. Relationship between Rick and Morty. Obviously, we'll get into that a little bit more. The relationship as a father and son-in-law with Rick and Jerry in the where the demons he's getting made fun of to help have the demons feel good about themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then there's and then the best friendship, one between Rick and Bird Person. So it's all these relationships, all of the heartbreak that can come from relationships, but also how those relationships can evolve over time and become stronger in different ways, right? Now, whereas Morty's relationship with Planetina, that didn't grow stronger, and we saw that his relationship with Beth was getting weaker during that episode. We see at the end there is a bond that happens from it. And then to talk about relationships, Summer and Morty in the Gotron episode, and Summer and Rick's, all of those things, right? Learning something about each other and growing stronger and building those relationships through temper. It's like tempered steel, right? There's lots of fire. There's lots of steel.
Do you think
metaphor?
Because in previous seasons, obviously they've explored, especially within the family, those familial relationships. Do you think it's more so in season 5, or is it pretty consistent with some of the previous seasons? The examples that we've gotten of those relational challenges.
I think that it feels like there's more resolution of relationships in this one, whereas earlier seasons it kind of focuses on like the depression aspect of it. If we're talking about like Unity,
Sure.
or like Pickle Rick, there's a disconnect there, right? There's a disconnect between Rick and Beth at the end still, and the kids. There's a shallowness still with Beth and Jerry at the end, and then and Rick seems like and Rick up until like this season still is kind of an asshole, right? I mean he's Rick is Rick,
yeah.
but he doesn't there's not a whole lot of growth in like earlier in like season 4, like the heist
I
episode,
feel
for
like in
example.
season 4, if you go back to like the Shy Pooper episode and some of that stuff, like we start to see a lot more of like Rick's loneliness and his desire for like actual fulfilling like relationships, especially with Beth and Jerry back together. It's harder for him to kind of find his place in that, and whereas he sort of became the de facto man of the house, I guess, in season 3, so he could take advantage of Jerry being gone and stuff like that, and try to assert his place in the family. But yeah, this episode or this season really shows how much more connected and how much more important all of these relationships have become. And even when we look at, episodes 9 and 10, which played pretty much together in their premiere, forgetting Sarek Marshall, Rick leaves and goes off with his two crows, and or I guess that happens at the end of that episode. But there's some real heartbreak there, right? Where Morty is excited for Rick to come back, only to find out that Rick's just back to pack his things and leave. And like the emotion on Morty's face, like there's a lot of Morty crying in this season, because of heartbreak. And ultimately that does get resolved, and we find at the end of the season their partnership has only grown stronger throughout the course of it. But I think it's been over this last couple of seasons where we've seen that vulnerability in Rick, which has opened up a space to kind of create that codependency that they may rely on moving forward in season 6 and beyond.
Yeah, for sure. In the last, even though I have this at the end of the themes, talking about Rick and Morty, the show is called Rick and Morty. The season is bookended by stories about Rick and Morty kind of going their own separate ways. Morty having resentment towards Rick at the beginning, where there's Mr. Nimbus, right? And Morty's just like, appreciate it. Let me do my own thing. Let me do some of my own things. And then you fast forward to the end of the season, starting with the two crows and them doing like their little breakups and the Portal Boys, and it culminates with them with this heartbreak, this relationship where they have heartbreak between the two of them, but then they grow together, and now they have to work together to save themselves, save some of the underground Mortys. I forget what I called them, but they have to work together. They have to use a partner to save themselves, and they, as Harmon and them said in the after the episode, now it's a Rick and Morty who are partners versus just antagonists to each other.
And I'm curious for how that will play out in the future, but we'll leave season 6 speculation for maybe a later time. Still looking back at season 5, another aspect which I think we picked up on a lot throughout the course of watching the season. Scott Martyr touched on it quite a bit when he was on the podcast talking about working on season 5. But it's this realization, of course, with the season finale, the biggest twist is this return to canon, right? Loading the cannon, firing the cannon of lots of episodic type episodes and or storylines that kind of link together. So we've got, I think, maybe our first same season callback here in season 5 with everyone's favorite new character, Naruto, returning a mere 3 episodes after being conceived in what was that episode called?
Rick Dependent Spray.
Rick Dependent Spray, episode 4, and then in episode 7 he comes back in Gotron Jerry Sis Rick Vangelion. What do you think about the same season callback?
This is something the fans of Rick and Morty aren't used to, and I don't think they want it. I think this is something that true fans of Rick and Morty don't want.
Which means if you like it, you're not a real fan, and your IQ's not high enough.
Your IQ's low. It is super low.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
We love you. Like
No,
and subscribe.
like and subscribe. It's cool. You know, it's 5 seasons in now. We're going into the 6th season, and I do think that they have to adjust I think they see that they should adjust a little bit. I don't know if they need to adjust a little bit, because I mean, what kind of consistency existed in Family Guy, and people watch that shit forever. They watch it forever.
Farewell, Adult Swim.
Right. So
Yeah.
so I don't think Rick and Morty needed that, but I think it's a decision on their part to give fans what they want, because I know fans do want that. If I'm gonna go back to Family Guy real quick for a second, if Family Guy had an episode that was really, it was really Evil Morty-esque proportion, and then it showed up again later, I think people would be like, I want more serialization in Family Guy. I think that for a brief period of time there, Brian was dead, and like that might have been like the most consistency it had storyline wise, right?
Yeah.
Brian wants to bang Lois. Consistency there.
Yeah.
But
those are just character traits.
yeah,
Those aren't necessarily like canon, like
adventures.
story arcs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do find it interesting. I think, I don't recall there being such a desire, an outcry from the fandom about canon, really up until the point when Evil Morty returns, right? When we see him come back in Citadel of Ricks, or Tales from the Citadel, we've had like canon over series breaks where Rick leaves and goes to jail and then comes back and destroys the Federation or something in the next episode. Those have happened, but the idea of bringing back a major character like Evil Morty really, I think, sent this show in a direction where it can't deny like the fans' addiction for canon and things like that. If they had some other ending, I don't know that they would have been. I don't know. Do you feel like there was as much of a pull for Evil Morty before that? I don't know.
I think there is a certain level of expectation to when they not just Evil Morty, but talking about like Tammy and Bird Person.
Yeah.
There was that. The Gronful Mind says isn't that big a deal, but the season 3 premiere with the backstory, the made up backstory of it's not made up at this point in time.
Yeah.
There's aspects, but like fans' thoughts and theories based off that, right? It became a thing.
It did.
And so they introduced these kind of these breadcrumbs of a deeper story, and fans wanted that to pay off. I think here's what I think. I don't think that it would have been people wouldn't have been as hard up for it if between season 3 and season 4 there wasn't a long ass break.
Yeah.
And whereas season 4 and season 5 there was a good sized break there. I think that just is like when it comes back now after between season 3 and through season 4, people are like, all right, let's go, let's see what we're missing here.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily get that in a full dose. Instead, we get like the Story Train episode where we're like, we'll hook you up, but you just wait for us, and
Yeah.
we'll hook you up when we're ready to hook you up. Which at the end of that season, that's when they killed Tammy, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And get Bird Person back, which is, though it took most of season 5 to actually pay off, we end season 4 with Rick talking about how he's a terrible father, but a good friend. He's got Bird Person locked up in the garage. And then we go almost the entirety of season 5 before we actually revisit how Bird Person and Rick, how their relationship started and sort of the course of that relationship as Rick tries to turn Bird Person back into himself and recover from his Phoenix Person persona. I thought, I mean, this episode was chock full of canon type elements, but told in a way that was really original. But again, adds some more to that overarching narrative of Rick's backstory. And I mean, really, between that Bird Person episode and the season finale, we have a pretty consistent and clear timeline of Rick's life from the time he started doing sci-fi type stuff to the time he rejoined the Smith family just before season 1. How do you feel about them being, the writers being so I don't know, out in the open with all that information?
I think it works because instead of us kind of guessing at how he's humanized, guessing about his backstory and where his sadness stems from, where his loneliness stems from, I think this kind of puts it out there for the audience and says, here's your baseline, here's all the stuff you understand about Rick. We're going to go on different adventures in the future. Now this shouldn't be something you focus so hard on. You don't care about the season 3 premiere stuff anymore because that's true to a certain extent. He's lonely because he lost his only daughter and his wife in an explosion. That is now we're moving on.
Here's why he hates the Citadel. Here's why he's got a thing against other Ricks. Here's all the ins and outs and what really happened. Oh, dead wife. Yeah, now we can all stop talking about it. Like, in terms of theory crafting, I think the writers really just kind of put to bed a lot of questions about his past, which, like, some of them are a little convoluted. Like, oh, evil Morty is his original Morty, and that's why he's evil, like, or like stuff like that. And they're trying to make those connections. And instead, they just really laid it out and made it pretty clear. Obviously, there's still gaps. There's still opportunities for other people from Rick's past to pop up, but we really did get a lot more context. And as you said, it really humanizes Rick a little bit more. And again, makes him easier to relate to and less up on a pedestal from Morty and the rest of the Smith family. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Well, you talk about theories. We talk, we did a lot of theory crafting back in the day, and then we got out of the habit, knowing, well, maybe not knowing, but assuming that there's going to be some of this serialization that happens, maybe a little bit more in future seasons, maybe more than we've seen in the past, maybe just as much as we saw this year. Maybe it's time to just ask a couple of questions. We don't have too many questions, but we do have one question from Twitter, and I have a general question that I keep seeing this on fan pages about this one question. But first, we'll get into from Twitter. It's at EEFSTXT, EFS Text. They write, I'm not sure where to submit this, but I'd love for you guys to discuss the theory that Rick himself, the C-137 version, was the one that killed his own wife and daughter. He didn't scan himself in the episode. Now, what do you think about that, Travis? What do you that is a theory that is out there that he didn't scan himself. He scanned everybody else's faces, but he didn't scan himself. That he is the one that kind of killed his family to set these horrible events in motion.
I mean that Rick used to wear blue pants, right? Let's not get things twisted, okay? I think it's an interesting question. At the same time, I don't love it because it makes a couple of assumptions. One, that there's a lot of time travel happening, that where this Rick goes somehow time travel, like gets interdimensional portal technology, and then time travels back to when he doesn't have it, and then for some reason like kills his own family, which sets up all kinds of paradoxes, because at what point does that originally happen? And that it's the messiness of time travel, like, to begin with.
Yeah.
So that aspect of it bothers me, and I also think it would somewhat cheapen Rick's C-137's backstory, that he is a person that's driven sort of by grief and the loss of his family, and the emotional struggle of that, which really causes some of that deep pain that we see manifested in his recklessness in the early seasons. We don't know why he's that way, but it's because he's kind of given up hope on a lot of things, and it's only through all this time spent with the Smith family that we've sort of seen him turn that corner and become more relatable. So I don't know. I mean, obviously in those montages we see him trying to find. I mean, he's motivated by finding this person. I don't know that I agree that it would potentially be himself, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this is possible?
I think it's possible. I'm not gonna completely discredit it, but I do think that it is possible. And here's why I say it's possible. It's possible because we know that Rick is his own worst enemy. And it's a very on the nose way of looking at it, that he is himself his own worst enemy, because he's the one who kickstarted this chain of events in order for him to be the Rick that we all know. There's the aspect of that there are all these different versions of Beths and Mortys and Summers and Jerry, like they all exist.
Yeah.
That there's infinite amounts of them, and so he could maybe future Rick in this case knows that and is fine with that. Also, like the whole aspect of Rick trying to kill himself and he can't do it. Right? Like what in the Unity episode, right? For example, like he tries to kill himself and he is unable to kill himself for whatever reason, which is kind of symbolic of his journey to try to kill himself because of the damage that he did to himself. And maybe in this theory there is a big bad or a giant evil thing out in the multiverse that older Rick has to kickstart younger Rick to do in order to get him in that position. It's kind of Futurama, Nibbler pushing Fry into the the cryo chamber.
There you go.
It's they have to do it because Fry is against the mind things, whatever, I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to discredit it. I think there's some validity there, especially if you go down a rabbit hole of trying to explain things. Do I think it's that? I don't want it to be personally.
Yeah.
But it very well could be.
Sure. This next one just says Beth a clone ? Was that just one of your notes?
It is one of my notes. Yeah. This one is one I've seen on Reddit. I've seen in some of the Rick and Morty fan pages. It's not even really a theory, I guess. It's just to me, it's a misunderstanding of the situation. So I'll just throw this out there. The idea is that the Beth that we see, every Rick has a Beth who died, and every every Beth that we see is a clone. Like they're all clones. Every Beth is a clone, essentially. And that's not how I read the situation at all. I read it as this Rick, the Rick we have, the Rick we know, was driven by the loss of his original daughter and wife being murdered, and that's why he is a different Rick than the other Ricks.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I read that. How do you read this situation?
Yeah, I think the existence of Mortys and Beths and Jerrys and all of these things, it's because there are so many versions of reality where Rick just leaves for selfish reasons or leaves for greed or whatever, and not necessarily because his wife and daughter were killed in an assassination attempt on himself, right? So that does make this version of Rick unique, and it does drive his pursuit of tracking down all these other Ricks, and then ultimately hating the early Citadel and the early Council of Ricks, and despite that hatred, ultimately helping to create the Citadel. So I think the fact that there is a family out there for him to visit and then go assume like grandpa status, right? Like, Beth doesn't have any like sort of memory. Like, she remembers Rick leaving. She doesn't remember, mom blowing up. She was raised by a Diane that was still there. So
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a lot of realities where, that is the case. And I think it does open up a weird sort of unexplored area where we haven't seen any old Dianes, or, like, why is she gone in every dimension? And I think that's an interesting challenge for the writers to have. And I'm curious how they solve that, and whether or not Rick's sort of by nature avoid that interaction for whatever reason. If they are out there, maybe they're all outside of the central finite curve, and maybe she's smarter than Rick, and that's why they built the central finite curve, is to it's only the realities without Diane. I don't know. Look at me go.
Look at you, lost boy.
Somebody posted on the Reddit.
Yeah, the other two things about that are Fruity Land, right? There is evidence of this Rick that we know having interacted with Beth as a child. So maybe that's like before the explosion in his reality.
Sure.
But alternately, we see in the finale that he goes basically where the series generally starts. That's where the season ends. That it shows him like giving up building a Citadel and then going to be with Beth and the family.
Yeah.
There, in one of the earlier episodes, it shows Rick holding baby Morty, right?
The same episode where we first see evil Morty. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's like a picture on the wall at Bird Person's house with him holding a baby Morty.
Yeah.
So there is some experience there. Not, it could be anything. It could be him exploring the multiverse and seeing things before he decides that he actually wants to be with the family. Who knows? But I just throw those out there as examples of, things that people are grasping onto and finding holes in theory. So,
and as the show that was not originally written, I think to have this deep and complicated story arc, and as you get into like more and more aspects of multiverses and different dimensions, to tie a cohesive story through all of that, with all of the things that have been presented in early seasons without necessarily considering all of those aspects, I think there's going to be holes. I think there's going to be areas where the writers have to sort of retcon certain things to make up for what was said in the past. But if we're going to continue down this path of more canon and more theories and things like that, I think we have to be a little bit like, all right. Yeah, okay,
that was a different Rick. Yeah,
give a little grace to some of the confusing moments that'll probably pop up from time to time. Yeah,
that's right. Well, Travis, we're getting to the hour mark. One thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to talk about our favorite episodes, a couple of our least favorites, and a few other topics like characters, overall episode, and our top 5 ranking
round. The season 5 lightning round. Turn the screwdriver. All right. Well, I mean, there's some definite episodes that were the highlights of season 5. Starting with the season 5 premiere, Mort Dinner, Rick Andre. I think widely a favorite episode by a lot of viewers. Some other episodes I really enjoyed, Rick, Mirai, Jack. I thought, obviously the premiere and the finale kind of both always highlights in most seasons.
We have of course the Bird Person episode, Rickternal Friend Shine of the Spotless Mort. I have here the Gotron episode because honestly I like the Goodfellas
Absolutely.
Godfather stuff.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
And then finally a Rick Convenient Mort, which is I think it's a great episode. Not everyone thinks it. Not everyone necessarily agrees, but I like it. I like it a lot.
I mean, kudos to Schraub. I mean, getting that writer's credit. I think it's a great episode. I like that it ends on a darker note, like on an emotional note. And I think all the Planetina stuff with Planetina's kids is hilarious. And I think it's a great episode. But with that in mind, there were some not so favorite episodes. I think widely criticized across the internet. Rick Dependent Spray, the sperm episode, was tough to handle. And I think I don't know. I need to watch it again through a new set of eyes and see if it's grown on me at all. I don't know. It's gonna take some time, I think.
And I hope it doesn't grow on you too much. It was okay. It was okay. It was this season's Sex Dragon episode. It had good action.
Mammoths.
Get out of here. It had good action. The animation is great. Had some funny bits to it, but in all, it was, I don't know, it's definitely not in my top 10 greatest episodes of all time.
Sure.
That's for certain. And then we have here the Rick and Morty Thanksploitation Spectacular. I thought this one had good stuff in it, but it seemed oddly timed. I think if this episode was near Thanksgiving, I think I would have liked it a lot more.
I fully intend on watching this episode around mid-November, and I expect to enjoy it because I think the premise is absurd, in the best sort of way. And I didn't dislike this episode, but it was a little jarring to have a Thanksgiving episode in like August. So I can see your point there. Now in every season we get some very interesting and new characters. This season was no different. I want to highlight a few of our favorites, starting with, again, the man that controls the police. It is Mr. Nimbus. Hilarious character, the nemesis of Rick, introduced at the beginning of this season. This is a character I would not be upset if he shows up again. I think there's definitely, if we're gonna get into this more canon, more connectivity between characters and episodes, yeah, bring back Nimbus. Let's see more.
Bring him back. Bring him back. Speaking of bringing him back, I've got a bunch of trash I need eaten.
Garbage goober, get out here.
garbage goober. Poor little guy. The first time we meet him, and he eats just all of that stuff that Morty had.
Trash. I love trash. Yum yum. Trash.
He's like breathing hard. He looks so miserable, and then we find out that he doesn't like trash. He has a PhD.
Some folks that I work with were putting together a group to volunteer to go pick up trash, which is a noble cause, right? But as they're asking for volunteers, I'm just in the background being like, yeah, trash. I love trash. Yum yum trash. And I got all these weird looks. I was like, oh yeah, not everybody watches this show. My bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, Garbage Goober's great. Best new character, Naruto.
Obviously.
Obviously. Gotta come back in season 6. Like we can't just leave him out there floating in space. Honorable mentions, Bruce Chutback, Chut.
Bruce Chutback. Cut the Chut.
Thought that was great. I don't know, like the sperm scientist, maybe not a great new character.
Yeah.
But
Bruce but Bruce Chutback is good.
Yeah.
Bovey.
Oh, Hoovy?
Hoovy. Yeah, that's right.
Hoovy was great. Voiced by Jim Gaffigan. That was great. Yeah, it was. You have that look on your face, but it was definitely Jim Gaffigan.
What? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Who? It doesn't matter. I mean, I believe you. I don't think it was though. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Gaffigan as Hoovy, Harmon as Jessica.
Don't
Just
even.
kidding.
Don't even fans. Don't even fans. We got it locked down. All right. Those are some great characters. Let's a little thought experiment. Let's rank our own personal rankings, top 5 episodes from this season, and we can close out with what we believe was the best overall episode.
All right. Yeah.
Of the season.
Shout out to Adult Swim No Context over on Twitter. They did their top 5. Real Rubaboa also did this. Their order, just throwing this out there to them: episode 2, Mortiplicity; episode 1, Mr. Nimbus; episode 4, 3, and 5. So all in the first half of the season.
Yeah, when you shared this in the show notes, I was like, did they do this halfway through the season? Like, did they just rank the top 5? Like, did they not like any of the last 5 episodes? That seems really strange to me that they.
Maybe I did go back a long way, so maybe it was.
I don't think they saw the last 5 episodes when they made this ranking. But our rankings.
Anyways, shout out to them. Whatever.
our rankings include all 10 episodes. So let's go ahead and start with our number 5s. What was your number 5 episode this season?
Oh, I gotta go in reverse order. My number 5 was Mortiplicity. That's the one I chose.
Yeah, Mortiplicity not in my top 5.
Oh.
I don't necessarily dislike it. I just I liked these episodes more. The Gotron episode, my number 5. So yeah,
okay.
I really like that one.
All right, right on.
Yeah, what do you got? Number 4.
Number 4, I've got the premiere, Mort Dinner Rick Andre. I thought it was a good episode, which captures Rick and Morty. It captures the zaniness of Rick doing silly stuff, Jerry and Beth doing their thing, and Morty going back and forth into Narnia land. And it takes on a weird subplot of its own with all the Hoovy stuff going on.
For all of those reasons, that episode is also my top 5, but also potentially the biggest spread between our picks, because mine is ranked Significantly higher. My number 4 episode is actually episode 3, Rick Convenient Mort. We mentioned the Schraub classic with Planetina, and I do like this episode. I think there's some great jokes in it and a lot of heart, so that's why I put it at number 4.
Yeah, which that's great because that leads into my number 4, which is
No, you're number 3.
Yeah. My number 3. That's right. Rick Convenient More. That's mine as well. It's that the relationship between him and his mom, the Planetina stuff. It rings true to a certain extent for me. Like I felt it. I felt that, and it was the first time. And I say this. It's like the first time we see Morty really share that like full bawling emotion.
Yes.
Like a genuine emotion, which then we see again later on in the season. What's your number 3?
So my number 3 is the Bird Person episode, Returnal Friendshine of the Spotless Mort, which was not in your top 5. So that's the one I had to trade out for the Mortiplicity. So that's what knocked Mortiplicity outside of my top 5. But all of the backstory and the unique way that they arguably this could be even higher if I spent more time thinking about it, but definitely top 3 episode for me this season.
I'll say that I like that episode a lot. What I like about it is that whereas the Simpsons they Homer and Marge sit on the couch and then they say, "Ooh, look at the picture books. Let's tell a story about our past." And then they do a flashback episode based off of that. They did a flashback episode in a unique way to where we could see the backstory. So I'll give them credit for that. My critique of it was being episode 8. It just seemed like a lore dump to me.
I'll give you that.
So I was like, although I still like it, some of the feedback was like, this is what we've been watching Rick and Morty for, and like as part of like a backlash in my mind is like, well, that's not what we have been watching.
I watch Rick and Morty for.
That's not what
if that's what you watch Rick and Morty. That's fine.
So anyways, so my number 2, going on my number 2. My number 2 is your number 5, which is the Gotron episode.
Yeah, you just love mobster movies that much more than I do.
I just love mobster movies
and giant robots, robot ferrets. Yeah.
And I just love. And arguably, I don't know if this is my real number 2, but I ran out of time, and that's where it's gonna stay.
There it is. My number 2 episode. Loved by fans across the internet. This is, of course, Rick Morai Jack, episode 10, the season finale, the yet again return of President Morty, Evil Morty, and the huge lore dump with the central finite curve being destroyed and chaos at the Citadel. It is a great episode. Lots of information in there, but I don't know. It's good stuff, and I think you liked it even just a little bit more than I did.
I did like it just a little bit more than you did. I have it as my number 1. It is a game changer for Rick and Morty because it changes up some of the things that we have all just kind of assumed about this world that is a true multiverse, and Rick is the smartest person out there. We know that's not the case. We know that he's been shielding himself. Collectively, the Ricks have been shielding themselves to have them be the smartest. And if that's not the case anymore, and he's almost essentially immortal, he's a god. Well, now he's not going to be. He may not be a god anymore. There might be other smarter, more devious people out there, and how that affects things. And not only that, the relationship between Rick and Morty, that was there, and it wasn't just a pure lore dump. Like there was lore dump aspects of it.
Yeah.
But it still advanced the narrative, and it gave us an out for Evil Morty Maybe he'll show back up again. Maybe he won't. I assume he'll show up in some way, shape, or form. But he wanted to be rid of Rick.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be tied to him anymore, and he's finally free. So maybe
he
we're
didn't
free
want to
of him
live
as
in
well.
that. What did he call it? An infinite crib for an infinite baby. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't want to. He didn't want to be in Rick's version of the universe or the multiverse. He wanted the real deal. And so,
Yeah.
so he's gonna get it, and hopefully we get some of that in season 6 and beyond. My number 1 episode. Your number 4. Mr. Nimbus, he controls the police. This episode just has so much for me. The back and forth between Rick and Nimbus is hilarious. We get a classic episode in Morty's ongoing pursuit for Jessica's affections, and the way they play with time through the Narnia portal. All of that, like just the sci-fi elements, every bit of it is just terrific in my opinion. So that's why I bumped it up all the way to number 1. Also, it was the first episode of the season, and so maybe it's skewed in that way. But
Maybe
yeah,
so.
so that's
Maybe so.
that's our top 5 looking back at season 5. If you have a top 5, if you listening right now, Unity, if you're like, you know what, I wonder what my favorite top 5 episodes are of this season. Well, let us know. Share them over at Rick and Morty Pod over on Twitter. You can send us an email, rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your top 5, and we'll share those in the next episode. Just like we're going to share this feedback that we got from some of you. It's now time for listener suggestions and short outs. All sorts of short outs today. So let's start over on Twitter. What do you got, Brandon?
All right, this one from Alejandro Casañas. What an end to season 5. Evil Morty returns, and they give fans closure to the Citadel stuff. Simply great. At Gogyu Kiran, at Rick and Morty Pod, at Rick and Morty. One of those is us.
Yeah, we're the middle one. Thanks for the short out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had an email which asked us a question. Email. From Will Williamson. They write, "Hey guys, sorry to bug you again, but I was wondering about your thoughts with an Anatomy Park sequel. In season 1, in the end credits, Ethan, Summer's boyfriend at the time, had an Anatomy Park put in his body, but in season 3, Morty morphosized him at the end of the episode. Do you think they'll ever mention this or come back to this for an episode? Thanks, Will."
First off, Will, no need to apologize. Thank you for your email. You're not bugging us. Nah, you're not gonna bug us.
Bugging us.
Yeah, an Anatomy Park sequel, I think is interesting. One, because I love theme parks. And they're doing a lot more canon type stuff in the series. Why not go back to Anatomy Park? I do wonder if Morty messing with Ethan. I feel like we haven't seen Ethan in an episode since Morty metamorphosized. Yeah. So, I don't really know what the fate of Ethan is, but I think there would definitely be an opportunity, just like we've ended up back at Blips and Chits and other places, even if just for some weird sequence where they're able to have to go back to Anatomy Park, or there's somebody's hiding in Anatomy Park or something, or they're just like a chase scene through Ethan's park. I think that I don't know if we'll get a full episode about it, but some sort of nod to that retelling I think could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, we know that Annie and a collection of folks were inside his body too, and during that episode, and
That's right.
who knows? Maybe when he's morphosized, the park within him was also morphed, and some crazy stuff. Their Jurassic World was a sequel. It came out many years later after Jurassic Park, and it made some changes. It made some changes to the formula, and the Jurassic World sequel, I forget what it was called, changed it even further. With cloning humans. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen that movie. It is a thing. It is a thing that can happen. I want to go back real quick. Jurassic Park, the novel. A lot of people, Michael Crichton, and then the Lost World Jurassic Park, the sequel to the book, which is nothing like the sequel to Jurassic Park Lost World. Nothing like it. However, Jurassic Park 3 is very similar to Jurassic Park the Lost World, the novel. Throwing that out there. Basically, Jurassic Park 3 is like a greatest hits of the first two novels. Maybe a sequel to Anatomy Park will be like that. It's a greatest hits of Jurassic Park, the novels.
We can only hope. Quick short out to the Twitch community. Thank you, Nikki Chuck, for the follow over on Twitch. We also have a couple of posts from Instagram.
Yeah,
at Rick and Morty Pod.
The first is from Films and Fermentation. They write, "I love your podcast. It's helped me to appreciate Rick and Morty even more. You recently thanked me for following you on Twitch, Films and Fermentation. As a podcaster just starting out, it meant a lot to have that shout out. Thanks again and keep up the excellent work. Shout out to you, fellow podcaster. Podcasts, the podcasts, they come and go. Podcast peoples, they come and go. And we got to stick together. We got to stick a shout out. A shout out's worth. It's free. It's free to appreciate a fellow podcaster.
And
no worries.
You just remember that, Nikki Chuck, because we got the shout out for Films and Fermentation. Now it's your turn, Nikki Chuck, to respond to our Instagram with a thank you about your short out. So let's keep this cycle rolling.
Okay, and then this final Instagram shout out. Why don't you read this one for us, Travis? This is from a direct message to us.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so go ahead.
So this is from Delmar, one word. Want to see get. Okay, I gotta read it verbatim. Want to see get fully naked and get some fun. Heart finger, okay, sign tongue, spit.
Yeah. We got a second message from Delmar.
Oh, in the
too.
follow up.
Yeah.
I'm so lonely. Come get me, baby. Heart point. Okay, sign tongue, spit. Kissy face hearts, eyes hearts, kiss film, hearts heart. Yeah, I'm assuming some of those were emojis.
Yeah, that's Thank you, Delmar. Thank you. Appreciate you reaching out for that. Loving the show. And
What's your favorite episode of season 5? I wonder.
What do you think about Evil Morty? Do you think we'll see him again? Heart,
spit.
Kissy spit.
Well, that will about do it for this episode. Thank you to everyone who was shorted out or was not shorted out. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you subscribing, especially if you're listening to this right now, because that means you don't just download the episodes during the season, but you're the true believers, the hardcore fans that download even the episodes in the off season. We appreciate your support. We thank you for following along, and we'll have more to come. We're working on some interviews and additional goodies to help us get through this break between seasons. But yeah, until then, thank you for listening. I am Travis.
And I am Brandon. We'll see you and hear you next time.
I mean, you'll hear us. We won't.
I will hear you.
Yeah, I guess I'll hear you. I mean, I see you. Anyway, podcast.
Bye.
Bye, YouTube.